Hey everyone, today's video is about when he is overprotective over you. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Let's get going. As you walk down the bustling school's hallway, your hand intertwined with Bakugou's, you couldn't help but notice the curious glance and hushed whispers that followed you. Baku's reputation as UA high's top student and explosive personality often preceded him, and his protective over you was no secret. Ignore them, he growled, his voice low and menacing. You squeezed his hand reassuringly, a small smile tugging at the corners of your lips. I am, Katsuki. You replied, your voice calm and steady. You had grown accustomed to the attention, the whispers of power couple, and match made in hell. But beneath the surface of their admiration and envy, there was an undercurrent of fear, awareness of Baku's volatile temper. Despite his rough exterior, Baku's protectiveness stemmed from his deep love for you. He had witnessed the darkness in the world, the cruelty and injustice that lurked within the shadows, and he was determined to shield you from all. As you approached your classroom, Baku's grip on your hand tightened, his eyes scanning the room. He nodded curtly to your classmates, a silent warning to anyone who dared to cross your path. Taking your seat next to him, you couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The whispers seemed to intensify, their malicious intent palpable. You could feel Baku's tension radiating before you, his eyes darting around the room, his hand reaching for your own. Don't worry, he whispered fiercely, his voice very audible above the teacher's droning lecture. I'll protect you. His words were a comforting reassurance, a promise that he would always be there, a shield against the world's harshness. The rest of the day passed in a blur of classes, discussions, and the occasional outbursts from Bakugou. But through it all, you felt his unwavering support, his presence a constant anchor in the storm. As the final bell rang, signaling the end of the school day, you and Bakugou made your way through the throng of students, their whispers now replaced by excited chatter and plans for the weekend. Ready to go home? Bakugou asked, his voice laced with affection. You nodded, a sense of relief washing over you. The school day had been exhausting, and you were eager to escape the prying eyes and hushed whispers. As you walked out of the school gates, Baku's arm wrapped around your shoulders, pulling you closer. His presence was a comforting shield, a barrier against the world's security. I'm glad you're here, Katsuki, he whispered, leaning into his embrace. He chuckled softly, his hand tightening around your waist. Always, you replied, his voice filled with sincerity. You walked hand in hand, your footsteps echoing in the quiet evening streets. The setting sun cast long shadows, stretching and morphing into shapes. But you felt no fear, no sense of unease. With Bakugou by your side, you felt invincible, protected from the shadows that lurked beyond the glow of the city lights. As you and Bakugou strolled through the bustling city streets, the shatter of the crowd seemed to fade into a distant hum. The warmth of his arm around your shoulders was a comforting anchor, and you couldn't help but smile to yourself. You know, Bakugou began, his voice low and rumbling. I used to think I don't need anyone. I thought I could handle anything on my own. You turned to him, your eyes filled with curiosity. But then I met you. He continued, his gaze meeting yours with an intensity that made your heart flutter. And I realized just how wrong I was. He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. You've shown me what it's like to care for someone, to have someone who cares for me in return. You make me a better person, Juan. Your heart swelled with emotion. I feel the same way, Katsuki. You confessed. You're the most amazing person I know. He leaned in closer, his fiery red eyes burning with a passion that mirrored your own. I love you, Juan, he whispered, his voice barely audible, above the din of the city. He wrapped his arms around you tightly, pulling you into a fierce embrace. The world around you seemed to melt away. Only you and Bakugou, lost in the depths of for love for each other. So, as you stood there, enveloped in his warm embrace, you knew that no matter what challenges life threw your way, your bond was unbreakable. Your love a beacon guiding you through the darkest times. As you and Bakugou continued your walk home, the city lights twinkled like distant stars, casting a warm glow on your path. The air was crisp and invigorating, filling your lungs with a sense of freshness and renewal. You felt a sense of contentment wash over you as you walked hand in hand with Bakugou, his presence a comforting anchor amidst the bustling cityscape. Despite the challenges you had faced throughout the day, the unwavering support and love that you shared with Bakugou had lifted your spirits and filled your heart with joy. As you reached your doorstep, you turned to face Bakugou, a smile gracing your lips. Thank you for always being there for me, Katsuki, you said, your voice filled with sincerity. He leaned in closer, his fiery red eyes reflecting the warmth of the city lights. You're the most important person in my life, Juan, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Above the soft hum of the city, he leaned in closer, his lips brushing against yours in a tender kiss. The world around you faded away, leaving only you and Bakugou, lost in the moment. Your love for each other radiating like a beacon in the night. As the last traces of your kiss lingered on your lips, you and Bakugou stood there, lost in each other's gaze. The city lights seemed to twinkle brighter, casting a magical glow around you. I love you, Bakugou murmured, his voice barely above whisper. I love you too, Katsuki, you replied, your heart overflowing with affection. You leaned in for another kiss, your lips meeting in a tender embrace. The world around you faded away, leaving only you and Bakugou, lost in the depths of your love. As you finally parted, your foreheads rested together, your breath mingling in the cool night air. You felt the warmth spread through your chest, a feeling of happiness and contentment that you had never experienced before. I'm so glad you're in my life, he whispered. Baku smiled, his eyes sparkling with affection. Me too, Juan. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Goodbye.